There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Lynn, were you going to say something? Sorry about
Well,
that.
I was also wondering if we could maybe have this presentation on our
Oh,
website.
of course. I also have,
Yeah.
Curtis, I don't know, did I share with you that one page info sheet?
Yes,
I
I've
did.
sent that.
Okay. And that also is kind of a really brief, like that's a much better summary of this too. But yeah, more than willing to share any information. Just let me know. Um, but let's see here. So yeah.
No, Katelyn, if
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
mind, if you could just back up to the threats,
Oh, okay.
the fact that we're just starting this recording now. I think starting going back to the threats, that would be
Okay.
good.
All right, so I'm sorry, everyone, you got to hear it again. But yeah, primary threats to loon, number one is shoreline development. Like I was saying before, loons, only time that they come up onto land is when they are coming to breed. Loons cannot walk on land because their legs are so far back on their bodies. So it's really difficult for them to go out onto the land. So they want to go right on the shoreline. They want to be as close to the water as possible. When you have this all development of all this big giant rocks or this lack of natural nesting material available for them, it can be really difficult for them to find adequate nesting habitat. Poor water quality, again, is a big threat to loons. Loons are visual hunters. They need to be able to see their prey when there's a bunch of pollutions and all kinds of lucky guck stuff in there. It's really hard for them to be able to find their food. Lead and mercury poison is also a big threat. We partner with the Minnesota Pollution Control and Get the Lead Out program, and they promote using lead-free tackle. It does not take a lot of lead to be fatal to a loon. There's an image that they commonly share that has an x-ray of a loon that has just a fish hook as well as a jig in there, and that was enough to be fatal to a loon. And there we go.
Question, Katelyn.
Yeah, Kyle, what's up?
Have you approached bait and tackle stores on just ending the sale of lead sinkers and whatnot?
We personally haven't, just because as the Department of Natural Resources, we're not allowed to take a stance on that at all. I know MPCA tries to promote it as much as they can, but honestly, we promote you, the people that are in these communities, to go
Right.
talk to these
We're the
bait
ones-
shops.
we're
If
the
they're
ones that-
hearing that's what you guys want, that's the best. You guys have that voice in it. And we
Okay.
strongly encourage it that you bring this up to them. Because yes, I've gone to bait shops plenty of times and you see it. There's rows and rows in lead, and usually I'll see one little box where it's got tungsten or steel or glass, and just
Okay,
and it's changing more and more, and people are becoming more aware of it, which is
That's good news. Thanks.
Yes, yes, but no, definitely spread the word as much as you can, because you guys have the voice about it. And also getting Minnesota Pollution Control and Get the Lead Out involved. They're always more than happy to go give presentations, to give out pamphlets, to give out information. They're more than willing to help with that at any time. So they're also an amazing resource to reach out to too. Other threats to loons as well is the us being here on the lakes. Humans we have an impact on loons. We are on their homes, and that is something that we need to acknowledge, that we as people, us being there when we're fishing, enjoying a time out on the lake with friends and family, we're having an impact on the loons and their habitats. Also, disease and disease outbreaks is important to acknowledge as well. So this is an outdated 2023 looking at spoot and wild birds. So you can see within the state of Minnesota, the total count was over 500. So that is something we also need to acknowledge when there are threats to loons. Now you're probably wondering, like, ugh, why should we care? It's a loon, like, ugh. Well, I have personally have never met anybody that dislikes loons within the state of Minnesota. Minnesotans, we love our loons. We are so passionate about them. Not only are they our state bird, that haunting call is something that we really associate with the spirit of the North and the spirit of Minnesota. They're not only important to us, they're also really important to Indigenous cultures. They have an important symbolic and stories in there. As well as they're valuable to ecosystems. So loons are an indicator species. So they're a really good way to tell if something is going on your lake. Your loons can be a really good primary indicator that something's wrong. If like your loons and your population with them is something's going funky with that, and you notice that, that might be a sign that something under the surface that you can't see is also happening too. So how did the Minnesota Loon Restoration Project become a thing and came to be? We're a result from the 2010 BP oil spill down in the Gulf of Mexico, the Deep Horizon. Numerous that we had loss of life as well as natural resource injury. I'm sure we all remember seeing the videos. I remember like I was in 5th or 6th grade and watching this on the news and seeing the pictures of like the pelicans completely covered in oil. And that's still to this day, I can't look at those pictures without crying. It was very travesty. And then in 2016, BP reached an $8.1 billion settlement. And of that, there was also an additional $700 million that was set aside for adaptive management to focus on habitat management. And then from that 700 million, 70 million was for the restorations of birds that was received by the Open Ocean Trustees Restoration Area. And then from that, Open Trustees completed a restoration plan in 2019 that included the restoration of the common loons in Minnesota, because what they saw through studies, they were able to put deer tracking pit tags into loons, and they saw that the Minnesota loons were the ones that were migrating down to the Gulf of Mexico. So they were the ones that were directly impacted by this oil spill. So $7.5 billion was million, not billion, $1 million towards reducing mortality and increasing reproductive success of loons. This included their breeding, nesting, and migration staging locations within the state of Minnesota. And then from that, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources non-game program, which is where I come into play, we received $4.8 million to be specifically used for acquisition of lakeshore habitat for loon nesting, as well as engaging lake associations in loon conservation, which is including creating artificial nesting platforms on targeted lakes to help loon reproductive success. And then our partners, Minnesota Pollution Control, received about $1.3 million to focus on reducing lead-based tackle within the state of Minnesota and increasing awareness about lead-based impacts on loons. So our overall goal and objective that we're trying to accomplish with this project is we want to reduce mortality and increase loon reproductive success within the state of Minnesota. The primary way that we want to do this is we want to protect lake shores through acquisition or an easement process. So then we can actually provide stateable habitat for their foraging and nesting of the loons. Where are we doing this study? We are doing this within the northern part of Minnesota. So we are in Becker, Clearwater, Beltrami, Hubbard, Cass, Crow Wing, Itasca, and Aiken. And since this project has been going so well, we actually want to expand our project to the outer counties. So Lake, Saltwater, Otter, or St. Louis, Otter Tail, any county that wants to be a part of this. We want to reach any and all lake associations that want to be a part of this. This was originally our primary objective when this project first started, because this was determined to have the highest potential of suitable habitat for loons. And this was going to have, the conservation effort was going to have the maximum effect on this. So this is where most of our loons were, and this is where we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck, is why we chose this. But since this project has been going on now for 3 years, it's been going so well, we want to expand it to more and more, which is very, very exciting. We have 14 objectives. Oh yeah, Kyle, what's up?
Yeah, a question.
Yeah.
I noticed that the Arrowhead, the Canadian Shield area, is not primary habitat. And that's just because of the rockiness of most of those shorelines?
Yes, exactly. That's why it's, yeah. And where most of the lakes here, they don't have that, and they have that natural native shoreline that we want. Yeah. But if those lakes associations or lakes want to still be involved in this, we're more than willing to have them, because if they do have that really bad rocky shoreline, they might qualify then for artificial nesting platforms, which I'll get to in a little bit here, but that could be a nice possible alternative since there's a lack of natural nesting available. So our 4 main objectives that we want to do, number 1, like I kind of said before, acquire loon habitat first and foremost through acquisition and easement. Then number 2, we want to create artificial nesting platforms, or AMPs, on targeted lakes. So these are kind of 3x3 platforms that have like natural like cattails or bulrush and mud, and they kind of have these giant, like they can have a dome around there like eagle guards, and these can be a good alternative when natural nesting habitat isn't available to loons. And I'll kind of go more into all these a little bit more in detail. Number 3, we want to reach out to lake associations and within the community to talk about loons, threats to loons. How can people be involved in our program? How can they help the loons? So you guys are helping me complete the 3rd objective right now. So I really greatly appreciate that. And then we're also doing a joint monitoring program with the USGS and US Fish and Wildlife, where we are studying a set number of lakes within that 8 main focal county, where we're wanting to learn more about loon habitat and loon reproduction. So for our loon acquisition and easement process, why are we focusing on shoreline? Why that area? Well, that's where they're nesting. That's where they're actually having their babies. That's where they're rearing their young, and that's where you're going to see them in there. This is also important for their migration stages. So having these lakes and having these shorelines available to them while they're migrating down south, and having this consistent habitat that they know that they can come to year after year after year is so important. When we think about loons too, we do need to think about them in a long-term effect, since loons can live several decades. They can, I think the oldest one is over 30 years old on record. They can live for years and years. So when we're thinking about loon restoration and loon habitat, we need to be thinking to this into the decades into the future. So how has our loon acquisition objective been going so far? Like I said, this project started within 2021 and is now set to finish within 2024. We're trying to get further extending to continue on with this project, but as of now, end of 2024 will be the end of this project. So we have 5 parcels that are under consideration for the acquisition process, and they've made it so far within the process that now I can't disclose where they are exactly. They're within our 8 count of focal study, and that's about as much as I can say. So that's really exciting that they're so far along that hopefully they'll be completed really soon. And if these become acquired, then these parcels become an aquatic management area or a WMA, where the Minnesota DNR now will then protect that and restore that and focus on that just for loon habitat management, which will be very exciting. And there we go, next slide. So our second objective, the artificial nesting platforms. So what are these? Like I was saying before, these platforms that we have eagle guards and natural kind of nesting organic material that these loons then can use these, and when there's a lack of shoreline. So this is kind of a picture here of a loon on one. Artificial nesting platforms are not always appropriate, as much as if we could like hand out artificial nesting platforms left and right, and that would save the loons forever and always and be a total fix. That's not how it's going to work, unfortunately. Artificial nesting platforms are really only appropriate when you have fluctuating water levels, recurring predation, and or limited suitable habitat. For lakes that are interested in having artificial nesting platforms added, they can come to us here within the Minnesota DNR, and we have a like set checklist where we kind of go through and break down and see exactly with that lake if they fit the needs for an artificial nesting platform being a good fit. So we do that, and actually what we offer is we offer the reimbursement for it. So say you go out and you build this artificial nesting platform for out on your lake, we will break that financial barrier that you're facing to create this. So go out and build it, and we will reimburse you for all the material in that. However, the deployment of it, taking it off the lake and upkeeping of it and creation of it, we do rely all on volunteers to do that. We have several artificial nesting platforms that have already been put out, and people, their response to making these platforms has been tremendous. And we are so lucky that so many people have been very excited about our artificial nesting platforms, and it's been going tremendously well. And people are so excited to be involved in this aspect of our project. Yeah, Lynn.
So you need to have a permit.
Yes, you do need to have a permit on the lake, and I believe, yeah, Beltrami requires, yeah,
Because I put one out one time and it disappeared.
Oh no!
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Because apparently the DNR took it away. I didn't have.
Oh no, that's, we also inform you, if when you make one with us, we inform you to make sure that it has, and certain, it all depends on which county that you want. I believe Beltrami since we have worked with the county sheriff and the DNR enough,
Right.
we have permission that you can either get a fee waived or we will help cover the cost of the first initial time when you're putting out the platform for if there's like a registration fee.
Yeah,
As
well, this
well
was
as if
many
you need to
years
get like
ago.
high vis tape or indicator lights on there, those are allowed and we will reimburse you for those too.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Katelyn.
Lynn, I had the same thing happen. I made one 5, 6 years ago, stuck it out there. The CO took it. The neighbor
wow.
saw him take it. And so I found out the guy's name and I called him up and I said, where's my loon nest? No permit. You gotta have a permit on there. So I went down to Park Rapids, got a permit, got a number on there and stuck it on the side. But we have too much traffic on Grace Lake. It's just not working. I wish it would, but I tried.
I know it's so artificial nesting platforms. We wish that they would be a one and all, but it's so picky. And also the fact that it takes several years too, which I'm sure you ran into that too. Like loons, they can take them several years too. Oh, someone wants to come in. To even use the platform. What we've noticed too is it like takes them a minute because they're like, what is this weird random plastic thing that's in my neighborhood? Like
Katelyn and Rick, it's your understanding that we need the permit through the sheriff's office in Beltrami County.
And we've worked with them. I don't know the full logistics right off the top of my head, but I know we have all of the documentation. So if within Beltrami, if you're like, hey, I want to make a platform, hit me up. And I know we have the specifics of what you need to do within Beltrami County
Gotcha,
for
thanks.
registration. Yes. And we've done this process now for the past year and for this upcoming year. So we've streamlined it a little bit. It's only been 1 year, but we kind of got it figured out. And things. And if it's something you're interested in, please contact me because we're more than happy to it. Like I said, we break that financial barrier. And if the people want to do it, we will give them the tools that they can do this and try to help as best as we can. We can help you with recommendations of where to put it, what's good material to put on them. We can give you videos and like a materials list and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
Katelyn,
Katelyn?
we love it.
Caitlin?
Yeah.
So how long does it usually take for a loon to say, okay, that's okay, I'll use it for a nest? How many years
It
on
depends.
average?
It can take several, and it really depends too on when you're putting it out, what kind of materials you have on there, and your consistency with putting it out. We recommend to put it out second ice out is out, and you can actually put it out there. And we noticed that this year we had several people that they weren't able to put it quite as early out there. And it's really important to have it there really early because this is when the loons are coming back and they're trying to establish their territories and find their good nesting locations. So having it there is really important, as well as the material that we use. We saw some of our lake associations, would put things like straw or hay or really large like branches. Those are things that we don't really recommend because that can actually deter a loon from using them. We recommend using what material is already on your lake because that's what your loons know. So if you have bulrush, throw some bulrush on there, cattails, put that on there, put that mucky, gucky stuff at the bottom of there and kind of create this little like domey nest bowl on there. Doing that can help encourage it and really depend on the years, but it can take several years for them to actually want to be enticed to use it. And then sometimes if they want to keep using it, or they'll use it 1 year, that really depends on the loons and the lake. And that varies so much. I've heard stories from lake associations. They've had a platform out there for like 20 years. It's consistently had a loon and they've had 2 chicks after year. Other ones, they've put it out for that same amount of time and it gets used hit or miss. It varies so much from lake to lake and is so dependent on that. But we'd say like if you want, like we encourage you, don't get discouraged, especially like that first year or two, like when they're not using it, don't be discouraged. Like please keep trying to go and do it as best as you can. But yeah, 2 other questions about artificial nesting platforms at all? No, that's okay. If more, shout them out. So just to kind of give an update, how many platforms do we actually have out within our study area? So we have over 50 of them that have been created and deployed. And so we're expecting there to be 53 as of now, but we think that those numbers will even increase more and more. Like I said, we're having lakes and lake association contact us every day that want to be involved in this project, and more want to have these artificial nesting platforms. So as of now, we have officially reimbursed 53 of them. And hopefully we'll reimburse more as the summer goes on, and we'll have lots of loon nests out there. And what we're doing with our partnership with USGS and US Fish and Wildlife is that we have a set number of platforms that we are actually studying their use of. And we did this last year, and we'll be doing it this upcoming year. And I'll kind of discuss that a little bit more when I get into the monitoring aspect of our project. So our third objective is the stewardship. We're going out and talking to lake associations, giving presentations, talking to them about loons, loon habitat, how can people be involved in this? If people actually contact us and be like, hey, I want to help the loons on my lake, they can join the Loon Friendly Lake Registry program, which is our third objective. So this is where we can create a Loon Friendly Lake Management Plan. This is a giant like Word doc template that I will work with a specific lake association to create specific for that lake, where you can talk about what is the history of loons on your lake, what kind of threats do they face, has your lake association done anything with like a lead tackle drive, or have they done any promotion about like keeping your distance from loon nests? If not, here's some things that you could do to get more involved in loon protection and all of those. Usually the lake associations will create a loon liaison. So that's my one person of contact. So I know for Fish Lake, I can contact Jim. He's my loon liaison. He's my go-to guy. And this is a program that that we're hoping to continue afterwards if this project went past the loon restoration project. This document is a living document that these lake associations can keep adding to year after year after year. Like I said before, loons are really good indicator species. So having that record where you can see every year what the history of your loons is like can be a really good indication. Like you could see like, oh, 10 years ago we had like blah, blah, blah amount of loons, and they'd always have like 10 chicks, but we've noticed a really big decrease in that in the past couple of years. Having that physical like document can be a really good help just to kind of visually see what those things are and how you can help them. And all that. How have we been going with the lake stewardship and outreach? Well, it's been increasing more and more every day. Our numbers are going up with me just talking to you guys here today, which again, thank you so much for having me. We have over 50 active lake associations. So these are people that we have been able to contact within the past year that are still being a part of the program, that still want to be involved. These are previous members, these are new members, all of that, and they're just, the numbers are growing every day. We have completed over 120 loon management plans on 120 different lakes, which has been really exciting. And we've given well over 100 presentations out to people within the 8-county focal area, which has been very exciting and very fun. So our objective number 4, kind of like I said, what is this project? We are doing a joint monitoring with the USGS and US Fish and Wildlife. And I want to just take a moment to really thank our federal partners. They're absolutely amazing, especially with the monitoring and this research project that's a part of this program. They are hands-on. They're the ones that are really getting out there and going out to these lakes and getting involved and collecting the data and analyzing and writing reports about it. They're amazing, and this project has gone so well, and it wouldn't be going this well without these guys going out. So what we're doing with this monitoring program is that we have 50 some lakes within our 8-county focal area that we're going out, and we want to monitor the loons on there. So we want to see the occupancy of territories, how many of the loons are out on the lake. We want to go find any nests out there to see, are they building nests? What are they looking for when they're looking for nests? What kind of habitats do they want? We want to watch the loons at the incubation to see how are they having the chicks. If they become successful, are they using natural nestings? Are they using an artificial platform? We also want to see if there's any documentations of nest failures. So were they predated on? Did they succumb to flooding? Did the nest, something happen and one of the legs fell out? Then we also want to see any successful hatching and to see how many chicks survive, what is their survival, All of that we are trying to document within this monitoring program. So we have been doing this project, this monitoring program for the past 3 years and are hoping to complete it here in 2024. So the first 2 years of our project, we just went out and we looked for lakes to choose, looked for ones that had really good territories and wanted to document all of that. And then back here in 2023, it was the first year that we had a set number of lakes where we decided that we wanted to add an artificial nesting platform in there to see if that would increase or decrease or have some kind of impact on loon reproductive success. And then now we'll be doing this in 2024 to see again if the artificial nesting platforms are having any benefit or decrease in loon reproduction and loon reproductive success here within the state of Minnesota. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the specific data about the loon restoration monitoring aspect of our project. That's all housed by USGS, but we're hoping with the completion of it in 2024 that USGS will be presenting and going out and giving reports about the success of this project and any impacts and kind of doing conclusions about our study. I also want to give another quick shout out to MPCA, Get the Lead Out, an amazing program, which if you want to get involved with that, please let me know. I'm more than happy to share Kelly and Steven's contact information and get you involved with that. That is their primary focus. They've been doing an amazing job on this, and they've been extended now to continue this project until 2027. So Get the Lead Out is still going on strong, and they want to reach out to as many people as possible. So if you're interested in that at all, please let me know. We're more than willing to get you in contact with those people. And then I just want to give you guys a thank you. It was great chatting. This is my contact information. Any questions at all, shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm around. But here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Is there any questions first and foremost? Other questions about
Katelyn, very good presentation. Are you in the same work with Rob Rabatsko and Spencer Rettler?
Oh, perfect. Well, both of those people have now left. So Spencer Rettler left at the beginning of 2023, and I am the new Spencer. I replaced Spencer as the loon specialist, and Rob Rabatsko was our coordinator, and he has also now since left and has gone off to another program within the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. So he's not a part of this program anymore. It is myself as well as my counterpart, Jaden Jack, who is the
Jaden contacted us, our association last September, and she wanted us to get involved. And we are involved. Is that a different organization or that's you?
No, that's us. That's us. Jaden is amazing, and yeah, I'm sure he knows and has talked to a lot of people and gotten involved with it. No, that's Jaden and me are the loon specialists with the restoration project.
Okay, so we don't have to go through anybody else because we already volunteered to start the program now this spring or this year.
Yeah.
So we're in the program now.
Thank you for joining. Heck yeah. Here, I'm gonna.
Yeah, so we don't have to contact anybody else. We're in the process.
Unless you want to talk to more people, we'll talk to you more.
Okay. No, she knows that we're in the program. I think those 50 lakes, is Grace Lake one of them? Do you remember that name?
Maybe. So the way that we split up our lakes is it's all by county. And we've kind of been shifting around our counties just because we've had a change in staff. So Jaden covers Hubbard, Aiken, Crow Wing, and Cass County are his 4, and then I cover the other 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
because we're half Hubbard and half Beltrami. So
evidently, Jaden took you from Hubbard. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, because I didn't want to duplicate everything, but we are in the program then.
If you're already in, you're set and you're good to go. Yeah. Thank you for joining.